Therefore, it is a journey. Like any journey, have confidence and courage. Okay? So, that's all the prepared slides. Now, does anyone want to add, particularly around the healthcare system, which I cut off a little earlier, does anyone want to add anything to the healthcare system that we didn't discuss? One of the things we didn't discuss was confidentiality and security and privacy. Okay, all those facets which are becoming more and more a critical part of our journey as we move to yeah.
I get a lot of pushback from physicians about security and privacy, moving from patient files, paper files to electronic medical records. And I got a favorite story of mine of a doctor that came in.
Did everyone hear Bridget?
No, she's turned around. It's like, you know, bad she's speaking about it.
I had a physician come in and he said, you know, we do a lot better job with paper records, confidential and privacy. I feel much better about my paper records. And I said, I understand. I do. I understand how you feel about that. Is that you're in that car? I said, your back window's open and all your patient files are in the back seat. So he sort of looked at me and we laughed and I said, you know, at least with the electronic medical records, it's something we are addressing. You can't figure out who's been in the record and when they've been in there, how many times. Whereas a paper record, it's just sitting there, it's burnt, it's damaged, it's dropped in the tub or wherever it is. But there's a lot of sort of controversy about the security types of them.
Paper records are definitely more secure from the point of view of, as an individual, the paper record probably is secure, the paper record is electronic. Where the electronic record brings a lot of risk is populations. Okay? Because the ability to access data on populations is substantially easier if you are sort of into the system, so to speak. But that's all.
And that speaks more to ethics, too.
That's
So
right.
is it
Yeah.
ethical to get into the charts?
I mean, one of the challenges, well, okay, how many of you are using electronic health record right now? Clinicians, let's talk about clinicians, okay, so, okay, 2.5. Now, you'll get there, Glenn. Okay, so Sam and James, okay. Don't we have some nurses practicing clinical nursing?
I'm not practicing, but I'm familiar.
Okay, tell us now what you have access to, okay? You're authorized, you have your logon and your password, okay? Tell us two things. Do you have any more than that? And secondly, what do you have access to as a clinician, as a physician?
So, as a physician, you have access to all the demographic data. Patient's name, address, their at least at our institution, their family doctor, their family doctor's information. Discharge summaries, lab results, radiology results, clinic notes, medications.
For which patients?
So I can access any patient within the institution.
Yeah. Is that the same with you, James?
I can access any patient in the province.
Any patient in the province. Okay. That's one of the issues. Okay, it's a major issue in England right now. Is once a clinician, particularly a physician, is authorized, you know, goes through the process, is authorized in the system, they then have access to everything.
So that speaks to consent.
And that brings up the question of consent, okay, as to what should a physician be able to see? Okay.
For those who are actually charting those patients.
Well, it's complicated, very complicated.
But that's where the auditing process, see, we have this McKesson thing, so it's like your honor,
yeah.
rule. You know what I mean? Like, don't go snooping around and you get caught,
Yeah.
you lose your job scenario.
Yeah.
Right? So they do that at our institution.
Okay, okay, and you're right, that's absolutely part of it, okay. But it's one of the concerns, yeah.
Well, some organizations where I've implemented it before, they, you know, some of the vendor products have like these break the glass functions.
Yes,
So
yeah.
they will put parameters
Yeah.
around what acceptable patients a physician should be able to get into. And any time that they, like, they'll never prevent them from actually going into a record, but it will stop them to say, are you sure you really want to look at this? Because everything says you
Yeah.
shouldn't really look at this.
Yeah.
And you can go ahead and say, okay, I want to anyways, and it will open it, and that gets, you know, a load of Excel.
At our institution, we have this kind of secret box as well, that the patients can choose to certain information and lock it out from view for all physicians except the people who they authorize.
Yeah, okay.
So if there's any sensitive data there that they don't want
Yeah.
anyone to access, they can do that.
In Andalusia, Spain, they have quite an advanced system, very advanced system that covers all of primary care and community care, all of ambulatory care in hospitals, ambulatory care in hospitals, and all emergency departments for a region of 9 million people. And the physicians and the nurses, all the clinicians have access to all of the data, regardless of where they are in the region. But they also have an approach that unless it's the person's family physician, the clinical physician doesn't have access to that until they insert the patient's card, which the patient physically gives them, which opens up access to their record, and only their record. But they also have the break the glass feature, because when they, especially in emergency, when a patient arrives and they can't identify the patient or the patient's unconscious, then they break the glass under those conditions, but on all other conditions. And the only place where the patient doesn't have to give them their card, because all the patients have a smart card, the chip, which they all carry, at least the majority carry. The only place is when they go to their own primary clinic, primary health clinic, then they don't have to. So the physician there or the staff there don't have to ask the patient for the card, as long as they uniquely identify the patient, then they have access. Everywhere else, the patient has to give them the card.
What's happening with the regulation that I think was implemented in 2009 about patient directives with regards to disclosure of the EHR
Where?
and BC?
In BC? Sorry, can you answer that, Bridget?
No,
I
you're
can't.
good.
Alvaro?
No,
Well,
I can't.
it's just,
I was gonna ask a question.
That, I mean, I think it's still rolling out, but that patients will be providing permission for disclosure of their EHR, if you ever get to that.
Well, I presume it's around the discussions whether it's opt-in or opt-out, right? Some provinces have chosen opt-in, others have chosen opt-out. It means the patient has a choice or has no choice. Or has to specify, goes automatically in unless they say
But
otherwise.
it's going to give them that choice, so.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Jim, you would?
Yeah, I think it all comes to the ownership of the data, like who owns the data.
Custodianship.
Yeah, it's like the major part, like for the patients, they will probably say they own some information they own, like is about their record. But information like physician after, they say physician, after they say the patients, they have some decision on their diagnosis or,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the ownership of the data, it really depends how you judge on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's changing as well.
And under the freedom of information, the patient owns the information, but the organization owns it.
Alvaro?
Yeah, I was just curious, related to access of electronic health records, whether or not there's roles-based access to data, because again, having an orthopedic surgeon look at something that would be put in by an OBGYN.
Yeah.
I'm just not
Some
sure.
systems have that.
Oh,
Some systems have that, yeah. So that means that it depends again, but again, it's not only roles-based. In some cases, it goes into a step further. It's role-based and individual relationship-based. But in a lot of cases, that gets too complex, because then you get coverage and someone else's too. So roles-based is okay, an orthopedic surgeon has access to all orthopedic data, regardless of the patient. But it's better with all data. Sam?
At UHN, we can access patient records from other hospitals in Toronto as well, but we have to go through this portal and we have to say that we have verbal consent. So it's left up to your honesty, but basically I just click on say yes, the patient agrees to give me their data, and I can go in and access their information from other hospitals as well.
Now, is there any evidence that the audit trail that's obviously being generated, right? Where you said any evidence that anyone's looking at that?
I do get the individual, every now and then I get an email saying, you access this patient's record, you weren't directly involved in their care. And it's usually because I We're gonna get slapped on the wrist saying, don't do that.
James?
Well, I think part of the role-based thing that we see more, at least with the Alberta system, the role-based is more, it's not a physician specialty, it's you are a physician, you are a nurse, you are a unit clerk. If you're a unit clerk, you access the patients that are in your unit. If you're a nurse, it's the same thing, the patients that are in the unit where you are. I don't know if it gets a little fuzzier when nurses work between different units, but that seems to be where the delineation is right now. And I mean, I'm sure it could be more fine-grained, but I think
Oh, I think there's no doubt that the technology could be so secure that, I mean, no one would question it, but then it just runs against day-to-day operations. And it's finding that balance between day-to-day operations. And there is some evidence now in the literature that our legislation, and again, R being global, our legislation, our privacy legislation is beginning to impede care. Because we've swung the pendulum so far to the privacy side, it's getting in the way of impeding quality care.
Does the informative blueprint recommend a certain level of confidentiality, privacy, or do they intend to recommend something?
There are some, that's a good question to ask Dick on tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, Thursday. There is some. I can't give you any details, but there is some standards, I guess is what they recommend.
It sums up to, if you're within that circle of care, and I think the ethics of the professional for accessing information.
Yeah.
What's my need to know? Is it for professional purposes or other?
Yeah.
My neighbor just pulled into a room.
Yeah, exactly. James, do you get any sense of the audit trail being used?
I don't think anybody's ever talked to me about it, but I think my wish defense is checking my wife's TSH level. That's just to see if she needs to change her dose of Centra that she was pregnant.
But you didn't get, no one said why did you do that?
No.
Actually, in the Alberta system, just to support that, it's a on request. So the audit trail is there, but nobody's auditing it. So if there's an issue, they can audit and pull it out of it, unless somebody complains, nobody's watching.
I know a case, sort of secondhand, of someone who looked at, a physician who looked at their own record because they were going a patient with a diagnosis, and they got slapped on the wrist for
We're looking at their own record.
Yeah.
It's actually against our policy to look up our own data. As like healthcare employees at UHN, we're not allowed to access our own data.
Are you sure you did that?
Yeah.
But I guess you don't have any more rights than anyone else.
No, that's still fuzzy, Susan. It's still fuzzy. Even though patients so-called own the data, as to the degree to which they really have access to the data.
We have tremendous ethical issues going on in our organization.
Speak up.
About that. Sorry, we have tremendous conflicts going on within our organization about that issue. Who owns the data? And there's still a lot of paternalistic attitudes within the system who don't want to let the patient see that because we don't want to scare them and we don't want them to know.
There are elements that all many of you are Catholic faith, but when I grew up, we were not allowed to read the Bible. We were not allowed. We're supposed to have a Bible in the house, but we were not allowed to read it. We were not. This is talking in the 40s and 50s. We were not allowed to read the Bible because we couldn't misinterpret it.
Because in Canada, there's so much attention around privacy, security, and it's getting to the point where, like for the audit trails, where sure it's in place, but